Well, hi, I'm Doc Martin, the lone journalist for KRAZ TV. Yeah, I guess good day, why not? Here's a good day, I guess, is because this document came out. Now this, I don't know if you can find it in your library. It's a horrendous story. It's all true. And I don't even know why here, and people say, why are you in the U.S.? Well, it happened here too. But this is the story of the case against Canada and several churches and our royalty and crowns of England and Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So this is a comprehensive exposure of it. And it's called Murder by Decree, the Crime of Genocide in Canada. This is a counter report to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So this was the response that the United Front of Canada put out to counter the stories that were coming out. And so after that came out, then people documented all that stories, and this is the counter to that commission. So it says here, published by the ITDC. So it is International Tribunal for the Disappeared of Canada. So March the 1st, 2016, it was, I guess, happened in Toronto and Brussels too, I guess. So that was the World Court and then the Canadian. Published by the ITDC under the provisions of the Common Cause Public Copyright Agreement. This report and its contents may be reproduced, quoted, photocopied, or used in whole or in part in any non-commercial medium for non-profit uses, provided that the sources and the authors are acknowledged. So, I guess if I see the quote by that person, that is to do. So this is in memory of the tens of thousands of children who died during the internment in death camps falsely called Indian residential schools. To those men and women who have fought against impossible odds to recover the memory of those children and the truth of how they died and bring to justice who and what is responsible. And to those who suffer and die today at the hands of the same criminal system. Earth, cover not their blood. That's right. It's the story. So, I got this from a friend of mine, another journalist, and he's got friends in the Cree Nation, and had heard about this story that there were several people died that I thought was just recently, but actually it's these people here that are listed from Virginia Batiste, Harry Wilson, Ricky LaValle, William Arnold Combs, Johnny Bingo Dawson, Harriet Nahani, and Lewis Daniels. Those are the recent deaths. Unknown, unstated, no reports, no suspects or anything. So just really weird deaths. So it says this report was prompted by the enormous miscarriage of justice engineered by the government and churches of Canada known as the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. It is written as a corrective response to that commission's unlawful and deceptive efforts to conceal the extent and nature of deliberate genocide in Canada by church and state over nearly 2 centuries. This report is issued by the International Tribunal for the Disappeared of Canada, an international coalition of jurists and human rights groups. It was formed in the December of 2015 to investigate the disappearance of people in Canada and prosecute those responsible. To date, though, No charges. No one has been indicted or tried or anything. So it's a genuine, non-governmental inquiry that's been operating since February of 1998, and that was Kevin Annett. He was a Anglican minister, and he broke the story. The Truth Commission into Genocide in Canada. That was the name of Annett's group. As a grassroots, self-supporting network of native and non-native, this movement has struggled against enormous odds to document and make public the true and uncensored story of the genocide massacre known as the Indian residential school system. Fact is, I was raised up in the 50s. On both sides, on the south side, and then when I lived and moved out on the east side, there was a residential school for the Tohono O'odham, mostly, I guess. Maybe it was Yaqui and all the tribes here in Arizona. So the fight goes on. It's horrendous. It's just unbelievable. You know, they got everything in the back. Half of this book is all testimony, letters, crown letters, church property. So, I mean, they actually got documents and went over it along, well, quite in detail. So, half of it is all the data, and then the other third or half is testimony. Let's see. Footnotes, part 2, concealment, containment, and deception. So they really whitewashed their story, or tried to, but it even indicts Pope Francis today, and it especially started with Benedict, and that's probably the reason they think that he retired. So everything is concise, laid out. The footnotes, part 1, the crime. Yeah. So they said anybody that didn't believe in Christianity really were fair game. Fair game. And they say even the word reconciliation. Oh, what's really sad is they were given, let's see, about vaccines. But they weren't vaccines. They were actually inoculating them, these people, with the smallpox. So it's pretty crazy. It was in here. I just passed it. So it's all in here, from starving the kids, forcing them to be together. It was just, and then certain principles, they were just like serial killers. I mean, just probably a kid every other day died. You know, they said they have about 50% loss. They think the TRC, that's the Canadian explicit, is there was only 150 at the most, but this ITDC says probably 200,000. So instead of 50,000 children dying, there was probably 66,000. So, well, anyways, it's a chronology of genocide in Canada by church and state from 1840 to 2015. So we can show you pages. I can read all of this out. So I guess I'm giving credit to this document. It says the Canadian state, its churches, and its authorizing crown authorities are proven agents of intergenerational genocide, and as such constitute rogue powers under international law that have lost their authority and right to govern, to tax, or to operate. The active replacement of those morally and lawfully nullified institutions is a duty and obligation of all citizens under the law of nations and such conventions as the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court from 1998 and the Nuremberg Legal Statutes of the United Nations 1950. So, they say internationally they've got a lot of people under arrest, regardless of whether Canada's going to back them up. Said no, nobody's going to go down. So the fight goes on, but KRAZ TV continues to show you things that, well, you know, we're still a voice for joy, and maybe there's joy in bringing this expose out. But somebody said, why should we worry about it? It happened here. Well, then start working on it. Thanks, and keep watching KRAZ TV. Murder by Decree, the crime of genocide in Canada, the counter report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Goodbye.